Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insight from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues here. Transformed by iCentra. Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with
Okay, welcome everyone to our March edition of the Transform by iCentra webinar series. We are excited to have everybody on board. I know that we have people joining us from different parts of the world, so you are welcome. We're excited to have you join us today. Please feel free to drop your name and location in the comment section so that we can welcome you properly. My name is Esther Atitebi, and I will be your host for today. Today, we will be discussing a very interesting topic that is important to the work that we do as project professionals. So we'll be discussing on the evolving role. Okay, I can see people dropping their comments. Thank you, you're welcome. So today we'll be discussing a very interesting topic, and that is the evolving role of project management office. moving from governance to strategic value creation. This webinar today brings to us three industry experts who are joining us. We have joining us from the UK, from the US, and also from Nigeria, which I will also be introducing them shortly. So we have three industry experts that we will be speaking with today on the evolving role of project management office and how your organization can align its PMO with the organizational objectives to be able to drive strategy implementation and also to achieve project outcome and organizational results. So welcome once again and thank you for joining us. I can see your comments. Stephanie from Dallas, you're welcome. Thank you. We have Christine from Dallas. We have Florence from Uganda. We have Okachi from Abuja. We have Meshak from Lagos. We have Webby from Zambia. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. So I'll shortly introduce the speakers that we have. And if you have a friend or colleague that needs to be here that has registered and haven't joined yet, or hasn't registered at all, the registration link will be in the comment section. Now is the time to invite them to join the conversation. Also, at the end of the webinar, we have a gift. So we have a gift for our project professionals. So please stay with me through to the end, and I'm going to unveil that by the end of the session. So I'll be introducing our esteemed speakers for the webinar today, who we are going to be discussing with. Our first speaker is Akiwande Mark Obaba. Akiwande is a distinguished PMO and digital transformation expert with over 25 years of industry and consulting experience. His career spans telecoms, IT, retail, and financial services, where he has led large-scale transformation programs across multi-geographies. As a strategic leader, an executor, advisor, and coach, Akiwande has a proven track record of driving enterprise-wide change, optimizing business processes, and leveraging technology to enhance performance. Akiwande is very passionate about mentoring mid-career professionals, fostering innovation, and shaping the futures of business and technology transformation. Mr. Akiwande, thank you so much for joining us. Just kindly unmute and say hello so that we can hear your voice. You're welcome. Okay, so while we hear from Mr. Akiwande, I'll introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Kimia Penton. She has over 15 years of experience leading complex projects in healthcare and technology. Kimia is a seasoned transformation expert who brings a unique blend of technology and behavioral insights to project and program management. As a senior director of private label at McKesson, her extensive experience with Safe Agile, SAP, Salesforce, and Workday makes her a strategic leader in navigating large-scale transition and digital transformation. Also, beyond the corporate leadership, Kimia is a TEDx speaker, an adjunct professor, and where she shares her expertise in project management, organizational psychology, change leadership, and process improvement. Thank you so much, Kimia. She's joining us from the US. Thank you for joining us today. You're welcome. Please kindly unmute your mic and say hello. Thank you so much. I just saw her comment. It is a pleasure. Thank you for having us. Then our last speaker is Mr. Taufik Babayeju. He is the 2024 PMI Person of the Year. Taufik's influence in management, technology, and transformation is undeniable. With over 2 decades of experience, Taufik is a recognized leader in strategy, digital and agile transformation, also in project, program, and portfolio management, PMO delivery, technology consulting, cybersecurity, risk management, and organizational change management. His career also highlights leading high impact transformation projects, managing multi-million dollar portfolio, and delivering value across IT, telecom, finance, health, and education. Mr. Taufik is also the CEO of iCentra Consulting, and he has transformed the company into a global powerhouse with offices in Abuja, Nigeria, and Texas, USA, and also a contact office in London. So thank you so much, Mr. Taufik, for joining us. Please kindly unmute and say hello so that we know that you are here. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, and thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so now that we have introduced our speakers, we will go into our topic again. Today we will be discussing on the evolving role of project management office from governance to strategic value delivery. So the traditional role of project management offices, which are PMOs, has undergone significant changes in recent years. So it is no longer limited to just governance and project management or process management. PMOs now drive strategic value creation and alignment with organizational goals. So to discuss this, just in as it relates to opening remarks, I would like to hear firstly from Kimia, then Akiwande, and then lastly, Mr. Taufik. How has the role of PMO evolved over the years? And what would you say have been the key drivers of this transformation? So again, how has the role of PMO evolved over the years? And what are the key drivers of this transformation? So I'll start with Kimia, and then we'll hear from Akiwande, and then Mr. Taufik. Okay, let's start with Akiwande. Since now he's here, let's start with Akiwande, then we hear from Mr. Taufik, and then lastly from Kimia. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. I was sort of hoping I won't start first. For some reason, technology is quite interesting, and we will talk about it some more. You know how you prep and prep. Right now, I have, let me see, I have 5 devices in front of me, and for some reason, the only device that's allowing me join is my mobile phone. But I mean, I'm sure you can all hear me, so that's the most important. Yes, and I think you should be able to see me now. Yes, so how has it evolved? Let me just quickly run through this, maybe next 2 minutes. I mean, for some of us, and Taufik also can bear me witness, when we got into project management, I tell the story of many years ago when I used to manage projects. We didn't have WhatsApp, we had Skype. So we didn't have Microsoft Teams, all these fancy things. We have Zoom, you know how you want to have a meeting with people. Most of those meetings were physical to start with. So you can imagine trying to run a project with people in different parts of the country. Don't let's even say parts of the world. You would have to plan a trip for you to have a meeting. In the early days of managing projects, I would do a lot of traveling because that was the only way you could have meetings, really, because we didn't have technology the way it is. Either you use Skype, but the challenge is infrastructure. So we've seen it evolve. I think the point I'm trying to make here is it has evolved. In the last 15, 20 years, we've seen technology play a huge part in project management, as a discipline, a significant difference, just even down to things like how do I manage my people, the resources, how do I manage my team? Now we are able to sit anywhere in the world and manage projects. I've managed projects sitting here in the UK, managed projects in Dubai, in the US. I mean, here we are, myself, I'm here. I have Kimia in the US. We have Taufik in Nigeria for now, and we're able to do this. So let me stop there so I don't I could go on. It's almost, for me, it's almost quite a nostalgic feeling.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akiwande, again, emphasizing the role of technology in driving the change in how our PMOs operate. Thank you. Mr. Taufik, can we hear you in a minute? Just add on to
Thank
what
you,
Akiwande
Esther.
has said. Thank you.
Akiwande has laid a very good foundation for the evolution of PMO. In the past, PMO, started from just the basic project-based organizations like the construction, the heavy industry, oil and gas, that need to just look at their project, the consistency, meeting timelines, and all that. But over the years, apart from technology, which I don't want to go in there, I think Akinwande has, made very beautiful points about how technology has evolved. But I'm talking about the PMO itself, the role that PMO plays. So we've seen PMO move from managing projects to managing, being the connector between strategy and execution for organizations. So you will realize that every organization should and must have a strategy that is driving it. Whether even when I say organizations, it could be for profit and not for profit. Even nations have strategy. However, there is always a gap between the desired state and the reality. So PMO has started playing the role of, the strategic role as enablers, because most organizational, resources or national resources, I keep saying, are delivered as initiatives. Call it initiatives, call it programs, call it project, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, somebody or a group of people are responsible for delivering that value. So what has happened is PMOs have moved from managing timelines, governance, consistency, to ensuring that value is being delivered, whether through the agile or the waterfall, methodology. What value are you driving within your organization? So we've seen PMO now at the heart of organizational strategy. So most strategic organizations are now deploying PMOs, not to manage their timelines, ensuring governance, tools and techniques, but most especially ensuring that there's a link between strategy and ensuring alignment between strategy and reality. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for your feedback. Again, emphasizing how PMOs have now moved from just governance to ensuring that we achieve the strategic objectives of the organization. Welcome, Kimia, and thank you for joining us. So we're just discussing on how the role of PMO, has evolved over the years, and what are some of the key drivers of this transformation. So maybe you can just add on to what Akiwande and Mr. Taufik have said. From your own perspective, how has this role evolved over the years? And what would you say are some of the key drivers of this transformation?
Well, hi, yes, thank you so much for having me. And I was enjoying the previous speakers, actually taking some notes myself to share with my team. And I agree with everything that they shared. So I'll say from my perspective, the PM typically in every situation, from my perspective, needs to be one of the smartest people in the room anyway, already, right? Because we have to follow everything that every stakeholder is bringing, capture it all, funnel it through to make sure it's meaningful reporting, and then work to bring alignment. What's happening now with the transformation through technology and all the global impacts and the rapid change that the majority of organizations are going through, not only does the PM need to have those technical skills, abilities, communication skills, but we really do have to pivot ourselves to trusted advisors, strategic enablers, and truly act as transformation management experts and change agents. So your PM really needs to be able to model adaptability, transformation, and pivoting as quickly as possible to then inspire and encourage and model that to the rest of the organization so that the organization can remain competitive. So in addition to all the skills we've always had to have to bring value, it's become even more critical to role model the strategic alignment and model that and act as change agents to kind of funnel that through the rest of the organization, because we really are at the core of everything that the organization is going through.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution, Kimia. And just to take it further, and now this question is for Mr. Taufik. So we've spoken about how PMOs are moving from just governance to now ensuring strategic alignment. But now, how do PMOs ensure this strategic alignment with the organizational goals and objectives? What needs to be done to ensure that this alignment happens to enable us achieve our goals and objectives as an organization and at the end, business success?
So like I said to you earlier on, thank you very much for the follow-on question. And Kimia, it's good to see you again from Dallas. Kimia and I actually met in Global Summit last year. She had a fantastic presentation. I haven't seen anything like that before. We're also part of PMI Dallas together. Thank you very much for accepting to be part of this. Thank you. So going into the question. So like I said, because PMO has evolved over time, so we're no longer doing management of timelines, specifications, and the rest of them. The main job of PM right now in aligning, ensuring alignment with strategic objective is to ensure real prioritization. And when I say prioritization, this is where the PMO does more than project management. Is now doing portfolio management, which is ensuring that the right work gets done. And that is the difference between a tactical PMO and a strategic PMO, where value is being delivered. Prioritization, you identify, you categorize, you prioritize the different initiatives or the projects, ensuring real alignment with the strategic objective of the organization. Then you can give that project or program or the initiative a clean bill of health for the organization to commit resources. And when the organization commits resources, the PMO also needs to ensure that benefits is being realized at the end of the day, and value is being delivered to every stakeholder, whether internal stakeholder and external stakeholder. And that is why we're talking about the PMO now becoming the value management office or value delivery office, whichever one you want to call it. So we're moving from managing projects to managing value and ensuring strategic alignment with the organization's strategic objectives. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the contribution. One of the key things you highlighted is the role of portfolio management in ensuring that we focus on doing the right work, prioritization, and also emphasis on benefit realization. Thank you for your comments. So now to Kimia, how do PMOs then balance, because of course, we are not saying that governance is a bad thing, but then how do PMOs then balance their traditional governance responsibility with the need to be able to drive strategic value creation? And I think I also want, after Kimia, I want Akiwande to also contribute to that. So how do PMOs then balance their traditional governance responsibilities with the need to drive strategic value creation?
So it's a great question, because it's the reality that all of us in this profession are dealing with. So I don't think any of us here are saying we're no longer doing no longer doing governance. That's a key function of PMO. But what we're doing is we're pivoting, right? So we are using any automations and any AI tools that for us, I'll say at McKesson, Majority of them are in-house built, just for data security, cybersecurity concerns. So we're automating any of our reporting, governance, and dashboards, right? So we've taken away the manual time that it used to take to do that tracking. So now all of our stakeholders have real-time dashboards and custom reports that inform them real time in making decisions. So we have not dropped the ball on governance at all. What's different now is, in addition to managing and tracking all of the reporting that we used to do, we are trusted advisors and thought leaders in the business. So we now participate, I now sit on the leadership team where we are part of strategic alignment and selecting the projects that go into the portfolio and make sure that they are aligned with the overall organization strategy. So we free up our time to look at the value add. And as the team was sharing here, is we have to demonstrate value add. So we're no longer tracking deliverables on a project. We're tracking business value delivered in alignment with the strategy. So we're part of now designing where the organization is going to move through. And a big part of that too is then as we pivot, we have to encourage and train and support our stakeholders to pivot to a new form of customer service from us, where we're not looking for somebody to, what I call is, be checklist and checked out PM. Check, 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 you hit this, you did all of these tasks on the list. We ask a lot more questions about the why. We want to understand the why of the task, the why behind what the organization's doing and tracking. And with that, we've also built in operational excellence and continuous improvement in everything that we're doing, to try to funnel down that mindset too in them. So we're still doing the governance. We play a much bigger part in strategic alignment and tracking that value delivery. And I'll say it's been a bit of a pivot because we really are doing both functions now instead of the past.
All right, thank you so much. Very insightful. So again, I think one of the things I had highlighted that you mentioned is, we are automating as much as we can in the governance part of the work, and ensuring that we sit on the table with management to ensure that strategic alignment, ensure value is being delivered, and that benefit is being realized as well. Wonderful contribution. Thank you. Mr. Akiwande, do you want to add to that?
Yes, and I think Kimia has touched on a lot of the points I would have touched on, but really it's that executive positioning. That's the major difference, between moving from a governance focused PMO to a strategic PMO. So for example, what we're seeing in a number of organizations across the world really is, and traditionally, maybe 10, 15 years ago, you would have, they would say, the organization would say, yes, we have an enterprise PMO, and they're looking at enterprise projects. What used to happen back then, and I'm talking from my own experience, was we sort of found ourselves getting involved in just running projects. So they would say you would hear things like, oh, this is an enterprise project, versus a BAU project, business as usual project, which really wasn't hitting the mark. So what you started to have was a competition between enterprise PMOs and other project offices within the organization. Now, what we've started to see, and part of the work we've been doing, in the last few years with a few organizations, is let's take off the hat of, being a governance or a tactical PMO, like I think Taufik mentioned that earlier on, to sitting at the executive table, having the conversations around delivering our strategic imperative or objective as an organization. So what you now start seeing in a lot of organizations is they started to set up the function that they would call, it may not necessarily be called an enterprise PMO, but you would hear things like change and transformation. Now within that, that's where you now have, and there are different reasons why you've tried not to give it that name. I mean, I won't go into that, into the complexity of that. But really the focus is, okay, as an organization, how do we go from point A to point B? Typically, it will be driven by certain projects. And so that EPMO is sitting at that table where such decisions are being made on how company A is going to be achieving objective A, B, C. And by doing so, what now happens is we're able to also track, and then there's a lot more focus, and this is just my last point here. We're able to now start to track the benefits of that investment. Remember, projects is all about investments. It's not just about spending money. If I'm the CEO of an organization and I've spent $1 million on a project, my expectation is that that $1 million needs to be bringing out certain benefits, right? Now, the benefits could be monetary, and we should be able to track it in monetary terms. It could be customer focused, but there should be some mechanism in place. And that's the importance of sitting at this strategic level. If you are not sitting there, what tends to happen? And I think I put out a post a few days ago. If you look at some of the statistics, and I think PMO even has this statistics where, and I'll just end with this, where probably over, I think, close to 70% of PMOs shut down after 3 years of operation. And that's because they get lost in, I like what Kimia said, ticking the box. I like just, let's tick a box, let's just chase people around on projects. Let me pause there.
All right, thank you so much. Again, the emphasis you've made is the importance of ensuring that we are involved in the strategic decision making of the organization. We also follow through to see that the benefits are realized and the investments that we have made, we are also getting value from them. So thank you, Makiwande. So now to your own question, maybe you can just share with us, probably maybe a case study or an example of a PMO that has successfully repositioned itself as a strategic enabler, and how such has driven value creation for the organization. Maybe an example or two you can share.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Esther. I don't know if I have the liberty to mention names. So I'm
yeah,
trying
we can
to be...
say it without the names.
But then again, I'm sure as I begin to talk, because we made a bit this without even mentioning the name of that particular organization, I'm sure one or two people will begin to to filter it out. Now, a particular organization, huge organization in sub-Saharan Africa, started on this journey probably about 15 years ago. And they understood, and for them it was, and I remember sitting in a session with them, far back in 2009, where there was talk about so many projects running. I mean, this is an enterprise that, is sitting on billions of dollars yearly in terms of budget, and they're saying, okay, we have all this money going through. How do we ensure as an organization we're actually spending money on the right projects? But more importantly, how are we sure that those projects were even, so the right projects, but more importantly, are we spending too much or not spending enough? What's the investment landscape looking like on all these projects? Fast forward, working with this organization, went in there, did an assessment, and this is beginning to speak to your PMO maturity, as it were. And we looked at the organization and said, hey, we went through series of activities, from running surveys to collecting data. Ultimately, what we're trying to do was to measure the maturity of the organization, to say this is your project management maturity. And there's a reason why we do this when we work with organizations, right? It's so that the organization is not to tell you that, oh, you're a really bad organization, right? I mean, as an organization, if you bring me in to come and do that, I'm not expecting, my expectation is that you want to grow or you want to get better, which is why you brought me in. And so with this organization, we did the assessment, and on a scale of 1 to 5, the maturity scale, at the time they were a 1/5. And I remember very well, they were not happy about it. However, the most important thing was certain recommendations were made at the time, So one key recommendation I just want to highlight, which I think every speaker, including myself, has touched on, was around executive sponsorship of that enterprise PMO. Without that, and I think that was the number one recommendation made to the organization in 2015, to say Your PMO, if it's going to achieve this objective of being strategic, needs to sit at a strategic level. And so that literally involved the organization moving things around, ensuring that that PMO was sitting in a function that's very close to the executives, right? Fast forward to 7, 8 years after, we went in again. Now it was a long journey, but I think I'm about to land somewhere. Is fast forward 8 years after, we go in again, right, to do an assessment. And from the assessment, this organization had moved from a 1/5 to 3/5. Now, I think what was quite interesting, and that's the thing about humans, we're never satisfied, which is a good thing. Because I remember, at the presentation, one or two people on this call would remember, there was a bit of pushback, and the organization leaders, the leadership said, "Oh no, we shouldn't be. How can we be a 3/5 with all the investments, etc.?" Now, global benchmark is saying if you are a 3/5, you're actually above average. You're in the top. You're in the top 1,000 organizations in the world that's actually running a mature PMO. And so today, that organization, and this, just sort of stop at this point, that organization today, as a testament to their growth, albeit slow, or as a testament to their growth and the importance of, situating that PMO in a strategic seat, has now been invited into, the PMI's Global Executive Council. Now and this is a Nigerian organization. That is no small feat. There are very few organizations across the world that have been able to achieve this. That is just one example.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. It felt
Go
like
ahead.
it went silent, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, that's why I paused. But just to wrap
Okay.
up, so that organization today is sitting on that Global Executive Council of the PMI, which is a testament to their growth. And really the hope and what PMI is looking for is we need many more of such organizations across the world. Organizations that adhere to certain standards, organizations that recognize that project management is not just, has transitioned from what it used to be 15, 20 years ago, of just, let's just tick a box, let's just, meet some targets, you budget, all of that, to being involved in strategic decisioning, to having a portfolio view, which Taufik mentioned at the start, a portfolio view of the organization, not the projects now, to say, okay, as an organization, how are we, how do we achieve these, our strategic goals for the next 3 to 5 years? And how does the PMO help us drive it such that, of course, we're getting value in terms of the investment we're making. But secondly, and I mentioned this again, are we realizing the benefits of these investments, which is where a lot of organizations still struggle today? Let me stop there, because I know sometimes I get very excited and it could go on.
All right. Thank you so much, at least for sharing a practical case study of growth. Just to be able to see a real life example of an organization that has gone on that journey, made the investment, and also we can clearly see the results, even though you are not able to state the name of the organization. But thank you so much for sharing that, Akiwande. So now, to Kimia, of course, what are some of the skills? Because the PMOs are clearly driven by project professionals. So what are some of the skills and competencies that are required for project managers, portfolio managers, just generally project managers to be able to succeed in this new landscape, especially working with PMOs as it relates to the organization? As a project manager, or as a program manager, or as a portfolio manager, what are some of the necessary skills and competence that are required of me to be able to succeed in this landscape?
Yeah, great question. And before I jump in, I want to just say, encourage you, Mark, it's okay to get very excited about project management. So do I. I think we all do. That's why we're here. So I love seeing the passion
Yeah.
and all the expertise on this call. Yeah, so for the PMO function, as we're saying, I already hold PMs in very high regard for the high intellectual capabilities, the emotional intelligence, the way we have to pivot, be adaptable to influence, the technical skill, right, to be able to do all of our tracking. But as we've been positioned, as my colleagues here on the call and I've been talking about, to be more value drivers, strategy enablers, sitting on leadership teams, having that trusted advisor capability and role as well. What's become even more important is that strategic and business acumen. So when I first started in my career, maybe 20 years ago, I'll date myself. I very much in my PM role was listening in the room, observing in the room, and capturing notes, and then often reviewing them with the sponsor to make sure I understood the intent, right? So it very much was kind of a supportive role. Many people in those early days viewed that role as kind of administrative, like your PM is kind of an admin. So what I want to specify is I don't see anything wrong with doing administrative roles or being an admin. I will never be too big as a person to do any role that my organization needs in order to serve them, right? But what I'm saying in addition to that, the administrative duties we will always have, which will be part of tracking and reporting, that strategic and business acumen has become even more critical. And I would say with that, financial acumen. If you are a PM and you have gaps in your skill set about understanding, interpreting financial reports, communicating them and tracking them, then that's an area I would encourage that you invest in some training for yourself. Join as many events such as this very valuable event that iCentra has put on to learn from other thought leaders in the industry. So you have to be able to speak the language of all of the organization functions. You also have to be able to see yourself as a part owner with all of the functional leaders in the P&L, in the profit and loss capabilities of the business. You are a partner in that. You are no longer external to the team. You're no longer external and tracking. You are an integral part of the team. And as far as kind of those skills and competencies, I think any of you that know me as well will know, or if you've ever seen any of my work, I'm also a lifelong musician, an internationally touring recording artist. So I've played in many countries around the world. And what has greatly benefited me in my project management is the ability to flip into my creative musician mindset. There are a lot of studies that I would encourage you to look into that are looking at the improvisational models of musicians, the innovation capability, the on-the-fly creativity, and a phrase that's called bricolage, which is often applied to musicians, which means finding a solution, making do with what you have. So anything you can do as a PM to level up in areas of getting comfortable with innovation, getting comfortable being creative, being comfortable in ambiguous situations, stretch yourself, challenge yourself, take on a stretch project, throw yourself in the deep end. Because you have got to be, in addition to all of these technical things we're speaking about, the person that is the calm in the storm, the most comfortable in the chaos, and the person that your senior executives rely on to move the organization forward, despite ambiguity, despite a competitive environment, despite change and transformation, rapidly evolving technologies. You are the one that they can count on.
Right, thank you. Thank you so much. And again, it's interesting to see, the connection between music and project management. So I can see Akiwande, with his hands and all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. Okay, so to Mr. Taufik, how can, I know at the beginning we spoke about the technology being one of the key drivers of this transformation. So how can PMOs then leverage technologies such as AI and automation? I know Kimia also spoke about automation. So how can PMOs leverage technology such as AI and automation to be able to improve project outcomes? Taufik, this is
Okay,
your
thank you very
question.
much. Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you very much, Esther. And thank you very much, Kimia, for drawing that line to creativity and being a PM. Um, I'll say to anybody as a PM, when I started PM almost 20 years ago and started trading, one image that I'll always use when describing a project manager is the image of a superman or a superwoman. Because your job is beyond managing projects. It's about making the impossible possible and being the calming stuff, like Kimia rightly said. So back to my question. Um, Technology has made a lot of things easier for us as project professionals, not project managers, but project professionals. So all the things that we used to do manually, um, you know, resource management, analytics, predictive analytics, resource optimization, AI, we can leverage AI to do almost all of this to ensure that we have, better reporting, ensuring workflow management, and also, using data to make, right decision. However, what technology is not going to give you is the human side of PM, which is, the emotional intelligence, the leadership, the the business acumen. So for most people, young project managers that may be on this call, your I'll tell you what opened my eyes when I did my Prince 2 about how many years ago? Maybe about 18 years ago or thereabout. For me, I knew how to manage projects, but when I got in touch with the pinball, where I had to learn risk management, human resource management, financial management, and all of this, it turned me into a mini business-minded human being and turned me into a professional that could speak to almost everything around business. So you have the option of you have a mini MBA by being a project manager if you've gone through I'm not talking about just being a Scrum course, but if you've gone through the PMBOK, the body of knowledge, you have the opportunity of schooling yourself free of charge in MBA. However, what differentiates you between a normal, a usual project manager or a Scrum Master is your ability to be what technology can be, which is the human side of project management. And that is most of the time, I think about 90% the chances that your project is going to succeed. You go from being a tactical person to managing stakeholders. And at the end of the day, you use a lot of communication, empathy, and people management to ensure that you get the results that you want to get on the project, which technology cannot give you. Thank you very much. So I hope I've done justice to your question.
Yes, thank you so much for your feedback. And again, I like the emphasis on saying that technology is there to make our lives better and our work better, and of course, not to replace the work that we do. In the PMI triangle has a lot of emphasis on the people skills. So as much as your technical skills, your understanding of your business, and even adopting technology is important. The people side is still very critical to the work that we do. So thank you so much for your contribution, Taufik. So now, what are some of the biggest challenges? And I'm throwing this question to Akiwande. So we've spoken about how PMOs have evolved, the role of project professionals in driving this, the role of technology. We've also had a case study of an organization that has done this and, the success that they have achieved. But then some of the biggest challenges that organizations face when they are transitioning from being just governance focused PMO to a strategic one. And I also like after Akiwande, I also like Kimia to contribute to this. So what are some of the biggest challenges? And then if possible, you can make some recommendations as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Esther. I mean, to answer that question, I'll do it. I think we need to first of all understand the difference between what is a governance focused PMO, because I know we've said that severally, myself and all the other speakers, and even yourself, for the benefit of those on the call that may not understand. So let's understand what's governance focused versus what is a strategic PMO. So now a governance focused PMO usually and would typically be strong on compliance and standards. They will be focused on risk, and they have a lot of risk and performance oversight. They are heavy on process enforcement, procedures, templates, what's the best practice. Project reporting is usually very heavy with a lot of transparency, issue resolution. So that's the standard governance focused PMO, right? That many of us are used to. I'm sure as I said that, a lot of people will say yes. But now with the strategic PMO, we're saying there needs to be more focus on, focus on business alignment and value creation, which is a very key word that we've been talking about. Also, portfolio management or portfolio and investment management. Now, one element in the strategic PMO, which we started to see that over the years, and it's one of the things that pushed me into this area, and I think Taufik touched on it, as he was speaking, is change management and transformation. Prior, a lot of governance-focused PMOs are just focused on the delivery. Let's just deliver a project and move on. Oh, I delivered 10 projects this year, and we spent $1 billion. That's it. But a strategic PMO is saying, what's the impact of this change on people? What's the people effect? What's in it for the people that you're changing, right? So that's where you can begin to see the difference between the governance and the strategic PMO. Also, with the strategic PMO, we're looking at executive engagement and what's the executive influence. And then, of course, innovation. We start to look at things around innovation and market adaptability, etc. Now, having understood the difference between those two, some of the challenges, of course, you would face to move from that governance-focused PMO, or what I would say the traditional PMO, is overcoming the resistance, because the internal teams, it's a very difficult thing for internal teams to move from. And when I say internal teams now, I'm even talking about even right from the leadership level down the rank, right? To move, there will be a huge resistance because most people just say, and I like what Kimia said, people see, maybe now it's changing, but a lot of people see the project managers' work as administrative. But now we're saying, oh, we're not administrative again, we're strategic. Now you see that's where resistance starts to show up, because people are saying, oh, why should the PMO be sitting at the table when the commercial people are talking about how we're going to drive revenues up, etc. There's that debate, and I've been part of some of those conversations, right? Also, another challenge, the governance PMOs, there's to transition from that governance to a strategic PMO, you need to start to build more expertise in portfolio management, which we've talked about, but also benefits realization, which I've talked about. A lot of the governance-focused PMOs do not look at benefits realization as anything significant. And Kimia said something earlier on. It's about the why. And the why starts, that's the start of a business case, really, or a benefits management, to say, why are we doing this project? And what do we hope to get out of this project if we invest, right? So again, those are some of the challenges. You need to build up the expertise to be able to measure benefits. And then also you need to build some capabilities in strategy. So project manager is not just about executing a project, but he's also thinking strategically, which Taufik also touched on as well. You're a strategic thinker, so you're also in a position to advise the executive to say, you know what, I understand that you want to spend $1 million on this project, But I'm looking at the landscape, I'm looking at the economy, I've done an analysis, and I feel this project may need to take a backseat. That's the level you should be getting to as a PMO. And then lastly, another challenge you would see is finding the right balance between standardized processes and then agile, adaptive project execution. The governance-focused PMOs tend to focus, they're very standardized. You must do A to get to this, you must do this, and if you do not do this, that's the end. But now we all recognize that we're in a very VUCA environment. How do we move from being, rigid to being flexible? That's also another challenge, and a lot of organizations still struggle with this particular challenge. This is one challenge that is still being debated across organizations, in organizations across the world. Let me stop here.
Thank you so much. That was very insightful. You spoke about, of course, resistance from management, more like top down. You also spoke about the fact that there is emphasis on benefit realization, and then lastly, finding the balance between the standardization part of the governance work that the PMO does and also adopting agile. Thank you so much. Kimia, do you want to add maybe one more point to that?
And I would say one point is all I have, because that was excellent. And I was just nodding off camera on all the fantastic knowledge and expertise shared and relating to everything that was said. The only point that I will add on there is, as we're talking about challenges we're facing as we pivot, is the concept of identity. Right? When we are going through transformation in the requirements of our role, we're asking for an identity shift in our teams, in those who've been in the project management profession for a long time, and in our stakeholders and the leaders that we serve. So when you're looking at identity and things that people have, because we know, my graduate field is organizational psychology, because I know how psychologically affected we are by our work. So my passion has been understanding work on the human psychology. And when you have somebody who's a seasoned PM, who's been in that role 10, 20 years and used to that governance-based model, you are asking them to pivot and operate in a different way. Some people can and will and be open to change and get excited about trying new things. Some people within your own organizations will resist that. I mean, I have had to move PMs from my team to different roles, to maybe a little bit more rigid functions, because they were extremely uncomfortable with the way in which our role was changing. The feedback I would get is, but I've always done it this way. I've used this Excel sheet for 15 years. I know how to do this. So you have to carefully and tactfully and lovingly and supportively and sometimes firmly, when you get there, remind people the way you've always done it is not the way the organization will remain competitive and the way you will remain competitive as an employee. So sometimes that identity shift within our own teams is a challenge for those in the profession, which is why I applaud everybody who's here today at this event to learn and inspire one another. And sometimes it's seasoned stakeholders. If you are working or you have a seat at the table with senior executives in an organization, they are used to PMO being a certain way. And they also have their identity in understanding functions the way they are. I will still get senior executives tell me, why is this lessons learned template changed from how I used to see it in PowerPoint? And I have to catch myself and and make sure I maintain some humility and understand that I also sometimes have to inform and educate my senior stakeholders. And if I want them to have that shift in identity with me, I have to show them the value that's in it for them. Again, the why. This will enable you to have real-time data and be able to make faster decisions and respond to your boss quicker, because we've enhanced the way that we're doing work. And then with that, there's a huge change management. Often I have to do a PMO roadshow. I create a distinct and unique playbook that then I socialize. But yeah, we can't underestimate the people side of it, as all of us have touched on so far, and that so many of us have our identity directly tied to our job. Just a quick personal advice on that too. Psychologically, it's healthiest for all of us to have our identity outside of our job. I'll give you just a quick example, Esther, if I may. So for me, I will say my identity is somebody who loves to serve, help, and elevate others. I'm the most passionate when I see someone get a breakthrough and have success. I can do that in my role as a mother. I can do that in my role as a wife. I can do that in my role as a PM. I can do that in nonprofit. I can do that on the stage as a singer, as a songwriter. So my identity is set in Kimia, in who I am. It's not tied to my job. And therefore, I'm not resistant to changes in ways of working at my job. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Wonderful contribution. Again, the emphasis on why. I think Akiwande spoke about change management, and it's, as we move towards agility, which will definitely have an impact on the governance focus of the work that we do, it's important to also be able to ensure that we provide some level of support and awareness, and also help our executives and those we are working in to gradually understand why some of these changes need to happen. And again, one thing that you said, which is key, is to ensure that we have, as much as we are project professionals, we also know that we have our identity. So now talking about agility, and this question is for Taufik. So now what roles should PMI play in driving agility and innovation? Taufik, are you there?
Yes, I was actually speaking. I didn't know that I was muted. Sorry
Okay.
about that. So, PMO and agility, huh, the world is changing and it's changing rapidly, so fast that every organization has to innovate or die. So your traditional organization, your big organizations don't beat small companies anymore. Only fast companies, have slow company for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So every organization is thinking or fast moving towards agility or innovation. And to achieve innovation, there has to be some level of agility, which means flexibility in how you get things done as an organization and how you take value to the market as quickly as possible. So this is the race that most organizations and most corporations, whether small or big, are running right now. We're on a race of innovation. We're on a race of value delivery as quickly as possible to clients, customer, and stakeholders. So when you have a PMO that is focused on governance, yeah, governance is good, just like Akiwande said, but your PMO now needs to add more governance framework around agility and flexibility. So a lot of PMO now need to focus more on flexibility.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, he made a lot of emphasis on flexibility, which is key. Thank you for your contribution. Akiwande, do you want to add on to that? But before then, I'm seeing some contributions on the group. I think this is from Webby from Zambia. She said, technology is a strategic weapon to enable and sustain business value. True. She also said that embracing a portfolio view will enable the evolved PMO to identify, categorize, evaluate, Select and prioritize the right work for the organization. Very important. Then I have another comment that says with the traditional PMO, adopting a portfolio of projects with evolving strategic business objectives is also a huge challenge. This is also true. So thank you so much. Please keep your comments coming. Also, if you have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. I'm going to be picking them in intervals to also ask. And like I said, we have a special gift for you. So just stay true with us to the end of the webinar. So Akiwade, would you like to add on to the question earlier for Mr. Taufik as it relates to PMO and also the role that PMO plays in driving enterprise agility and innovation?
Yes, thanks, Esther. It's, how do I say this? I think, and maybe I'll use myself as an example. I mean, a few years ago, heading up a PMO, what I would, at the time, it was a governance focused PMO, which was transitioning into a strategic focused PMO. One of the challenges we had then was we had we were quite heavy on governance. Again, being a financial institution, and this is where the real balance needs to come in. You want to be agile, but at the same time, depending on the sector, certain sectors allow for easy agility, while certain sectors do not. Now, one of the things, and that's why this whole message of project management, PMOs, needs to keep being broadcast at the highest levels. With the likes of with the regulators, for example, whether it's in the financial services regulator or telecoms regulator, they also need to have an understanding of what project management is evolving into, such that policies that come out, and it's quite interesting what I'm saying, because policies drive projects in organizations. I know it sounds sort of long-winded, but that's the truth. So if you're in financial services or telecoms or any sector, a policy change by your central bank, regardless of what country, whether it's the Bank of England or the Central Bank of Nigeria or any bank, but Central Bank of Kenya, wherever it is, a simple policy change there can impact your organization, your bank, thereby leading that bank to have to set up certain projects. Now, you can see the link. Now, if those policies are designed such that you are not allowed a level of flexibility, then it makes the work of the PMOs much harder. So there's still a lot of advocacy that needs to go out, and these are some of the things, and I like a lot of the work that PMI is doing across the world, and especially in Africa. So there's a lot of advocacy work there. I think that's the heart of driving this agility we're talking about. There still needs to be a lot more advocacy at the policy level, and then down to the organizations at the executive level, because even at the executive level of many organizations, they're still struggling. Just like what Kimia said, they're still struggling. They're so stuck in the way projects were run in the past. And they don't understand why you need this level of agility, flexibility, because for many of them, the way they see it is that, and this is from and I'll just end with this point. My conversation with some execs is they see that agility, flexibility as a way of, they see it as money being lost because they don't have control. You see, when things are moving a bit too fast, there's a feeling like I'm not in control and I can't see where my dollars or naira or pound is going. So there's that sense from the executives. So there's still that advocacy work that needs to happen. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akiwande, for that comment and for your contribution. Yes, I also agree. It is very important that enterprise-wide, the executives are also able to understand and see the reason why adopting Agile is important, especially in the VUCA environment. And, the advocates to also create the understanding of the Agile mindset first, and then, being able to drill that down to the organization to ensure that we stay competitive and we are also delivering value. Thank you so much for that comment. So now I'm coming back to Kimia. So what advice would you give PMO leaders who are also looking to drive transformational change within the organization. And then you can relate this to PMOs as well. So what advice would you give PMO leaders who are looking to drive transformational change with their organization?
So yeah, it's I think we're all continuing to go through it, and I think Akin one day brought it up earlier, that executive sponsorship. If you don't have executive sponsorship and you're trying to change the way PMO does it, then I mean, it's going to be very, very hard on you and your team, right? But in addition to that, you need your allies. You need your advocates in the different functional areas of the business, who can advocate for you, who can speak on your behalf when you're not in the room, who can kind of give, speak highly of your team, understand the need, ask for you on their projects and initiatives, and share the value add. So you need the allies. The other thing that you need is partners in the work that you're trying to drive. And some of that comes with the ability to influence and not hold on to your ideas and goals too tightly. So a lot of what we do, and I speak with and train my team to do, is let others advocate and drive for what it is that you are trying to initiate, because you don't want the organization, especially the people who are now your peers, as you're sitting at the leadership table with them, instead of previously seeing you as their support, you are now their peer. If you have a seat at the table, you don't want them to start looking at you as a potential threat or a potential competition, or potentially, always bringing up critiques or different ways of working. So I would say you build your, is the most critical thing. I mean, relationship management and true sincere networking is, I think, one of life's most critical disciplines anyway, where you're just extending true friendship and support. You build your network and your allies, and you demonstrate the need as you're listening to your stakeholders, and then you allow your stakeholders to champion that cause and request it, and then be the sponsor, and then you are available to support. And you use that strategically. I'm not saying never put yourself in a position to get the credit, or don't let people know ideas come from you. I'm saying it's a balance. Not everything has to come from PMO. Leverage others. We are right now, I'll give an example of my team. We're an international team. We're based in 4 countries, different ways of working, different levels in the technology journey, different educational, cultural backgrounds. And we're dealing with a group, a functional group, where processes have been the same for about 20 years, and they're not comfortable with automation. I recognize that there is some tension there, and they are not open to some of our team members who are very advanced and very keen to progress. So we've expressed the potential solutions to other stakeholders. They are championing this. We're bringing in the Six Sigma organization to scope it and process map it. Then we will come in and support. So the ways in which you bring your ideas across and influence the relationships and change, that also has to be strategic. With that, you have to keep your ego in check, right? And with that, you always have to be thinking about, am I doing the right things the right way for enterprise value? Not for me, not for my team, but am I doing the right things the right way for enterprise value? And who really needs to be the champion of this change? Is it me? Is it this stakeholder? Will it be more successful if I hand it to someone else?
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Again, you had mentioned the importance of partnership, the importance of relationship management, also the importance of, being able to, get management buy-in. Because at the end of the day, without the funding, we will not be able to drive any transformation at all. Thank you so much, Kimia. So now, to our Q&A, what are some of the metrics, or should I say KPI, because you have made a lot of emphasis about, benefit realization, we ensuring that value is actually being created and delivered, and we can measure it. So what would be some of the metrics or KPIs that we can use to measure? And I know that this can be qualitative and quantitative, right? But how can we use to measure the strategic impact and effectiveness of your PMO? You just spoke about in your case study an organization that moved on the scale from 1 to 3. So what are some of the KPIs and metrics that we can use just to measure and see the strategic impact of and the effectiveness of our PMO? And I think Kimia, you can also add to that. But yeah, Akiwande, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks, Esther. I mean, and you're right. There are qualitative and quantitative ways to measure, and there's a long list of things that organizations are doing today. And I think what's interesting is, if I take it back, 10, 15 years ago, PMOs were not even being measured by this. What you traditionally were being measured by as a PMO was, was my project delivered on time, within budget, and scope? Traditionally. But now what we're saying is a strategic PMO is not, that's a given. I expect you to deliver the project on time. Those are, we shouldn't be spending time, debating that. We're looking at things that are, around return on our investment, ROI. So, and I mentioned this earlier, if I've invested, in $1 million, I don't know, I like $1 million, maybe something, $1 million. If I invest $1 million as an organization, there needs to be a case on how we're going to recover that. And in some cases, it can be qualitative. Now, this is what has birthed, for many projects, what we call a business case. There needs to be a business case. And so I tell PMO leaders, and organizations, before you start a project, and that organization I use as a case study, that was something also we made sure we instituted. What's the business case driving this project? Okay. In that business case, I would expect things. I mean, let's use an example. If I'm going to take $1 million from somebody, if I come to you, Esther, and say, oh, I have this business idea, I need $1 million, all you'll be asking is, can I see your projections? At what point are you going to break even such that you can return my $1 million with some interest? That's the reality of life. Nobody puts money down without expecting a return. So that business case for whatever the project is, I'm bringing SAP, I'm bringing whatever it is, Oracle, Microsoft D3, whatever it is, we need to be able to say, this is the return on our investment. By year 5, year 7, we expect to have recouped our cost, okay? Also, and you've talked about it as well, and I have mentioned this several times, benefits realization. It sort of ties into the return on the investment. At what point are we going to start to enjoy the benefits of that initiative, right? And we also need to track that. We need to track it and say, okay, at this point, we're starting to enjoy the benefits of that investment we have made. And we've seen many organizations over the years throw a lot of money on projects where zero benefit is realized. They bring in a system and it's just sitting somewhere, nobody's using it. $500,000 has been spent, and 2 years after, they're thinking of junking the system. That's question. So there's a question around the business case to start with, okay? Also, we're looking at things around, and I'm just going to pick on the key KPIs. There's so many that I can think of. Things around change adoption, the adoption rate. And this is very common where we're bringing in systems in particular. I mean, we live in a technology age now, so it's all about systems. Most organizations are, pivoting to, advanced systems and things like this. The question is, what's the rate of adoption? If I bring in a new application today, and 6 months after, we have 3,000 employees that are meant to use that application. But 6 months after, I only have 500 people using that system. Then there are questions that need to be asked. And that's the change adoption. So how well are we driving the change? Now, if you are still struggling with it, then it takes us back to the business case. Is it possible that the business case itself was wrong? And that's why it's important that that business case is critiqued, which takes me to the point of why the PMO needs to be sitting at the strategic level. It's not just to sit in an executive meeting, but also you want to dig deep into why a project needs to be instituted. Otherwise, we will have issues around adoption, right? And typically what you want to do is you want to achieve 80, 90% adoption rates. That's when you can beat your chest and say, oh, yes, we're on to something here. We're getting value. We're beginning to get value on that investment. The last KPI I would touch on, like I said, there's so many others, but this is a webinar. It's not a class. It's not a teaching class. So I won't talk about the others. Will be around, and this is a very qualitative measure. It's around executive satisfaction score. Very, very, very subjective. But then what's the leadership perception of your PMO? And I like what Kimia was talking about. That boils down to your engagement, your stakeholder management, the relationships. How well are you socializing? What the PMO is doing with the executives? How much of their input are you getting? What does the executive, what's their perception of the work the PMO is doing? Now, there are many ways to get that feedback. Some people would use surveys, preferably surveys, or one-on-one feedback. Yeah, and then you take on the feedback, you document it, and then you come up with an action plan on how you want to improve. But executive satisfaction is extremely important, or leadership perception is also very important. There's one last one. I think maybe this will also is, and that's stakeholder satisfaction score. Your internal. So at the end of the day, we are running projects as a PMO. What do your internal stakeholders think about the PMO? Now, this is a very tricky one because if you haven't managed those internal stakeholders well, they will not score you well. So it's important, and you see, everything is linked. How well are you delivering those projects? Are you engaging your stakeholders, these internal stakeholders? Is there empathy in the delivery of these projects? What type of relationships have you built with these internal stakeholders? All these things come to play when you're talking about metrics and KPIs. Like I said, the list is endless. I can think of maybe 15, 20 different KPIs, but let's stop here for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akiwande. Very insightful. You spoke about the importance of having a business case, even at the beginning of the project, looking at ROI. You spoke about tracking benefit realization or tracking the benefits, both short-term and long-term. You spoke about change adoption rate. You spoke about executive satisfaction score and also stakeholder satisfaction score. Very, very important. Before we hear from Kimia, just to add on to that, Mr. Taufik.
Okay, thank you very much. I really want to thank Akiwande and Kimia and everybody else joining the webinar. You can see I'm speaking from my seat on a flight. So this is what we do as PMs, struggle things up. I totally and thoroughly enjoy the conversation of the value the management, realization, and what we do. Project practitioner, but not PI, because within that bucket, you have project managers, you have portfolio managers, you have scrum masters, you have program managers as well. So wherever you are in your ladder as a project professional, it's very important that we keep our eyes on the value that we bring as against doing the work right and focus on doing the right work. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for your comments. Kimia, do you want to add on to what Akiwande has said? In terms of the KPIs that we use to measure the effectiveness of our PMOs.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm going to be reaching out to you to see if you can come chat with my team, because there were some great pointers in there too. And Esther, I have to say, you are a fantastic moderator. Really appreciate your active engagement and the way you're, bringing back out what we've been sharing. So really glad to connect with you through this event. So
Thank you.
a key piece there that you touched on was the business case validation. That it might sound like a basic or simple thing. You'd be surprised how often that doesn't happen. So I'll say, in addition to those standard KPIs that we just heard about in the group, the business case is really critical to look at in different milestones, being tailored to, so your KPIs, of course, your metrics, your milestones, the approach that you take has to be tailored to the industry you're in, the business that you're in, what's meaningful. So part of what my team manages is product lifecycle. So in addition to those standard metrics for product lifecycle, we also report out on time to market or average product launch time, median product launch time. So we have to have relevant metrics depending on the part of the business that we're supporting. For product lifecycle, they are we also track supply chain with that. So we look at some of the supply chain metrics. We make sure that we have high service levels in our delivery and supply chain. We make sure that we are not omitting on orders. So the metrics and KPIs, in addition to the standard ones, of course, as we all know, are tailored to your business. But a key one was business case in our program management side for standard traditional projects in comparison to the product lifecycle that we do. The business case review prior to product launch has been extremely critical in our business, because oftentimes you create a business case. By the time you get that product to market, you could be looking at 10 months, 12 months down the road. If you are not actively reviewing that business case to look at what has changed in the market, has another player come into the market that has driven down cost? Is there still a need for this project that there was a case for 10 months ago? Because not only is technology rapidly changing, but the time to market and products and competitors are also evolving and changing. So is that original business case still valid? Does this product launch need to be put on pause? Is it still financially viable? So we've actually gone as far as implementing a monthly check to look at market factors and trends that we're seeing in the market. And we support that with our functional leads, our deal development team, our supply chain team, our commercial leads. We all are in there. And then we have a go, no go at a much regular intervals instead of a just before market checkpoint. If you do a just before market checkpoint, it's too late. You're already ready to launch that product. So making sure that the KPIs and the way you're measuring the business are meaningful to the business, but that they are also reported at meaningful intervals to give your organization a chance to pivot. If I report just before a launch that this product is no longer viable in the market, I've already cost my organization a lot of time and money. If I catch it 4 months before launch, we have time to pivot and renegotiate and make some changes and come in competitive. So we tailor it, but that one of our big lessons learned has been much more frequent review and refresh of the business case, reminders of the why, and making sure all the right accountable teams are part of our no-go, no decisions. And then, of course, we document and save and track that as part of our governance. With any lesson learned, it stays in the archives for our program management team. And then we look at it and refer and kick off those lessons learned before we kick off the next product. So there is a lot of discipline in that, which I think really serves the business, which is ultimately what we're there to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimia. And just before I go back to your point, we have Florence, whose hands are up. So once I'm just done going back on the points, you can unmute, put on your camera if you want to, and then you can ask your question. So one of the key things that I think Akiwande and then Kimia has emphasized on is the importance of our business case, but then not just having a business case, revalidating that, while the project is ongoing, is it still valid? Should we leave this? Should we come back to it, right? So this is key, and again brings up the importance of agile, of timely feedback. And then she also mentioned a couple of metrics that we could use, like how soon we go to market, the average time we go to market, some supply chain metrics as well. So these are key and just important in ensuring that we are not just putting things out there, but that it makes sense, it is valid, and that it's going to give the organization value and help us achieve business success. So thank you so much for your contribution. We have Florence, her hands are up. You can unmute and ask your question directly if you have one. And anybody else that has a question that wants to ask the speakers directly, please just put your hands up and I'm going to call you to ask your questions. Florence, go ahead.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, My question is, I come from a place where my PMO is sitting in a strategy office. What we have faced as a challenge, yes, we have the table on the executive, but is on our reporting. We found that the old standard way of reporting in terms of time, in terms of progress, does not really appeal to our executive. So my question there is, how are these kinds of reporting that you need to, what kind of, since we are moving PMOs to the strategic, to be strategic focused, what kind of reporting is done on the level of, on the level of executive? Because we found this kind of reportings that have been in the primary PMO no longer appeal to the executive, maybe appeal to the project team. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Florence. And I want Akiwande to take that question, but then just to just to state it again, she's asking now, when we move from a more governance focused to a more strategic and value creation focused PMO, how do we then report to management in a way that makes sense? So Akiwande, you can answer that, and then maybe Kimia can also add on to that.
Okay. Thanks, Florence, for that question. I think the response to that question I sort of gave when I was giving, responding to the question Esther asked me on KPIs. What type of KPIs? First, the first approach is it's about stakeholder engagement. Have you engaged? And this is a rhetorical question here. Have you engaged the executives to understand what it is they want? Because there's the mistake, and I've been guilty of this in the past, where we make an assumption for executives on what they want coming out of the PMO. Now, if you are going to be strategic, then you need to be asking, what are your expectations as executives? What do you expect to hear from the PMO? Now, having sat on both sides, I can tell you one of the first things the executives want to see, or an executive committee wants to see, is money. They're particular about the investment. So if your report is so heavy, if your report is so heavy on, and nothing wrong with it, but if it's too heavy on timelines, we're delivering this on timelines, this is the scope. Yes, some execs may look at it and say, okay, yes, you will deliver it on time, but deep down, all they're looking at is money. Because remember, the executive, when they go back to their shareholders, if it's a publicly listed company or a large organization, shareholders are not interested in your projects, with all due respect. That's the truth. Projects, see, if I'm a shareholder in Microsoft today, I'm not really interested in the internal project Microsoft is running. All I want to hear is Microsoft made money this year, and so I'm going to get my payout or get some good dividends. And that's the burden of the executive, money. So you want to be able to go back to the executive to say, this project, this is how we're tracking in terms of the money, the investment. You've put in X amount of money, dollars, pounds, whatever, it's into this project. This is how we're spending the money to date. This is what we have left to spend, and we don't expect to request more money. Now, that's what excites me if I'm sitting as a CEO, that you're telling me, okay, yes, the money we approved, you're doing fine on that money, and we don't, I don't expect you to come back asking for more money. However, in reality, you may need to come back with more money. Now, this takes me to another part of your reporting. Your reporting needs to be able to anticipate where there will be variations, for example, in terms of spending. You cannot show up, somewhere in the middle of the project and say, we need an additional $100,000 and we need it in the next week. Because the exec is saying, I have a board committee I need to go and talk to. There are several, depending on the kind of organization, there are several approval layers that it needs to go through. In some organizations, to get $100,000 out of the kitty of finance, it can take you 3 to 6 months, which will ultimately whatever it is. It will ultimately threaten the delivery of that project. Okay, so Florence, just to summarize, understand what it is the execs want. So whether it's by sitting with them to say, what do you want? What are your expectations? But more importantly, sitting on the exec side, put on the hat of the exec. It's all about money, the investment. That's what they're very particular about. Not that they're not interested in the other things, but that's the thing. So whatever it is you're reporting, you need to be able to tie it to the money. So I'll end with this famous phrase. Show me the money. Show me the money. That's the exec. Show me the money.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. And I like the emphasis of engagement, right? So we should engage our executives to be able to know what they want to see. Of course, we know that the money is important, which is key, but beyond that, just ask them, right? And then you'll be able to know. And of course, focus on the money, and we know what benefits we are, sorry, what investment we are making, and how is that producing the results that we want financially. Kimia, you like to add to that?
Yes, I no, I love that. Show me the money. That is actually a really good reminder because we get stuck in, our traffic light reporting, red, amber, green, and our team are often very tactical in tracking the tasks. But I just want to re-emphasize showing the financial value is really critical. So the way that we show that on scorecards is what percentage of the project budget has already been consumed? How are we tracking that according to where we should be? And then if it's something that's delivering revenue, how is that tracking to the original business case? It's just very high level. I would just add to that of in the past, we used to create various PowerPoint views of reporting based on what the different levels of stakeholders shared with us. So a C-suite level executive wants to see the entire portfolio on one page. And really, if anything's in red, that's what they want to focus in, heavily focus on the financials, right? Some of our mid-level leaders wanted a level down from that, a little bit more detail, maybe more information on their specific projects or functions. And then our teams in operations, they really need to know the extremely detailed tactical stuff. In the past, it was very time consuming to create various reports in the different formats that they need. With the automations and the dashboards that we've built now, we continue now only to fill in our one project plan for the initiative that we're supporting, a plan for each initiative. But we've created and automated the various stakeholder level dashboards. So the front page of our dashboard, which it probably is a practice many of you have, that is the executive facing dashboard that has populated in there the financials and just the level of detail executives need to see. We then can click to a different screen, and we have built custom dashboards all the way down to the ops folks, sometimes down to the level of what they need to see at the distribution center. So those are automatically there now, all pulled from the same project plan that we fill in. So a key part in your reporting is, one, understand exactly the level of detail and the format that that particular group needs to see. And then two, automate it and get it built so that you do not have to keep spending time creating reports. We don't want to spend time creating reports. We want those to be automated. So we're just populating the one document. There's one source of truth. And then we've eliminated any manual inputs into any of our reports because just human error can happen. So we did a data cleanse exercise. We have all our custom reports and dashboards pulling just from the one project plan or portfolio plan, depending to the level we're tracking it. And we've made sure there's data integrity there, and then no pressure on the team before any of our report out calls to go create bunches of PowerPoint slides and go create them and give that time. We just don't do that anymore, but we've actually increased the level of accuracy and the different levels of reporting that we're able to produce.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimia. I think I noted you said one, let's understand the level of detail that is needed for our different stakeholders. And then as much as possible, we should try to, automate and do it in less manual way. So I hope that this has answered your question. We also have Joseph. Joseph, please you can unmute and ask. And then if we have further questions, please feel free to drop it on the comment section. I've seen people ask if they're going to get the recording. Yes, we will share the recording with you so that you can still go back. So Joseph, kindly unmute and then you can ask your question.
All right, good evening. I want to appreciate the session so far. It's quite educating and a lot of learnings also. But I don't know if my question will be out of place. I'm into an environment where projects we do minimum 20 to 21 a year. So I came in as the only project rep. But I've been trying and struggling to build a PMO mindset into the system. So I wouldn't know the best approach to handle this. Because I believe that if we work within the PMO framework, it's going to be the best option for the company. But the issue now is, how do I sell this idea? How do I make the executive understand that PMO is the way to go? So I really need this advice. I don't know if this is the right forum, but I just thought I should lay it down for the our people to answer me. I don't know. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joseph. I will still let maybe Akiwande say a few things.
Yeah.
However, we can also discuss after the webinar, Joseph. My colleagues will drop our email address. One of the things that we do is to also help organizations set up their PMOs, and also carry out, some level of review. So we could explore our PMO solutions and discuss with you. However, I'll just let Akiwande just provide some maybe just some tips and feedback on how you can go about it, and then we can discuss later. Akiwande, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Thanks, Esther. I mean, my first point, that was my first point that you just you just touched on. It probably requires some level of consultation. And Joseph, the reason why I'm saying that is, first of all, in setting up a PMO, we need to first of all understand the organization. What what industry is the organization in? Because you see, depending on the industry, the organization, the organization finds itself, there's certain levels of appreciation of project management. So depending on the industry, then you can begin to say, okay, this is the way to go. Maybe you shouldn't go this way. In my experience, first of all, you want to start to build. So the same way we've talked about building a business case for a project, you need to build a business case for a PMO, and it's a lot of rigor. Now, whether you are ready it may not be something you alone can do, and this is where Esther has come in now. You may need to partner with professionals to help you build that business case, because the business case will need to say, okay, the why, which is what Kimia has been talking about. Why do we need a PMO? And it's not just by going into a meeting and saying it. Again, the executive wants to see the value, right? The value of having a PMO. And that value speaks to money ultimately. So that business case that you're coming up with needs to say, you know what, if you invest X amount of Naira or dollars into setting up a PMO, this is the return on your investment on that PMO over the next 3 to 5 years. Remember, I said something, and I'll just stop here. At the start of the conversation, I gave out a statistics, right, that said over 70% of PMOs get shut down after 3 years. Why? That's because usually after 3 years, the ROI has not been realized. And so the organization is saying, you know what, we've pumped in a lot of money, we've hired project managers, we've set this, we've done all of these things, but we're still not seeing the value. That's because in many cases, the business case wasn't clear to start with. So I'll stop there. It's about the business case. What is that business case? And is it clearly articulated? And have you socialized it with the executives? And it could take time. Let me just put it that way. It takes time. So it's not something that happened overnight. I found, just to end with this point, I've been in a position like you, Joseph. It took a year just to even sell this idea. Several iterations, go back, forth, doing all of that. 1 year, eventually they finally succumbed to it, but even with a caveat. So let me stop there.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Akiwande. So Joseph, we will definitely discuss further. So as we round up the session, I think I have one last question. If you have any question, please feel free to raise your hands. We will also put up the link, the LinkedIn page of each of the facilitators and the speakers so that you can connect with them as well. And if you have any particular topic that you would like us to discuss in our upcoming webinar, please feel free to let us know. We will send a feedback form and you can fill that as well. So as we round off, and I think this is to, I think I will hear from Akiwande and also from Kimia. So how do you see the future trends of PMO, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years? And what would be your advice for project professionals to prepare themselves strategically for, for the future of PMO? So this will be to, we'll first hear from Akiwande and then Kimia.
Thanks, Esther. I mean, in the next 5 to 10 years, and we've touched on a few of them. I know Taufik did mention a few, earlier on in the conversation. At the top of it, really, of that list will be AI, AI-driven project management and automation. I know, the AI buzz is out there, but it's the reality. So what I see, in the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of things. So things around risk management and even project forecasting will be AI enabled or AI driven. So questions like, oh, should we invest in XYZ projects? There will be models that would give you near accurate predictions on whether that project will be successful. I see that happening in 5 to 10 years, where you can actually go into a model, an AI model, and say, you know what, I'm trying to do this type of project. It asks for certain variables, and it tells you, you know what, don't even touch this project with a single dollar that you have, right? Or it says go ahead, and it gives you a 95% chance of success. So I see that happening in the next 5 to 10 years. Also, we'll look at things around automation generally of PMO, because I talked about AI, I talked about automation of, the PMO task. So a lot of the things that we're doing today, resource allocation, reporting, and I think Taufik did mention this. Yes, we're using technology today, but in another 5 to 10 years, some of these things you will not even need to sit by a computer to generate a report. A report will be able to generate, it knows when to generate a report and when to send it to certain stakeholders, because it's pulling all the data that you have inputted into your project management systems. And by just a click of a button, it takes all that information, pulls out a report, and sends that report to the executives. You see, so it makes the job of the project manager so much easy. It doesn't, because I know some people are thinking, it means I may not have a job. No, you will have a job, because project management is not just about the reporting, it's about stakeholder management. AI cannot engage a stakeholder, no matter what. You still need to sit down and talk to face. Project management is about people engagement. So don't worry, your job is still safe. But what will stand you out from the next project manager is how well are you using these tools that are available and will be available in the next 5 to 10 years. If you do not start using them today and getting familiar with them, in 5 years' time, you will be a project manager without a project. I'm just being very honest. So you carry that title, you will have all the certifications, and nobody is going to give you a project to manage. Okay. Secondly, we'll look at, and we've talked about this as well, agile and adaptive PMO structures. That's another thing in the next 5 to 10 years. I'm seeing a lot of now it sounds like an irony, but a lot of decentralized PMOs to allow quick turnaround of initiatives. Now, it doesn't mean there's no governance happening, right? But because of the rate of change, again, there's going to be a lot of pockets of PMOs, and now within even one organization. And so a strategic PMO needs to be able to keep an eye on all of this that's happening very quickly. Also, hybrid methodologies will increase in the future. The days of, we're using this particular methodology, it has stopped. Years ago, you went into an organization and they tell you, we're Prince 2. I found myself going into an organization, I had to go and do Prince 2 certification because they said we only use Prince 2 here. I said, but I'm PMI, I'm PMP. They said, no, you must, and that was, for those of us who've been in this thing for a while, that was the cross we had to bear. You just keep doing every certification because one organization says we're this. But in today's world, it's hybrid. Everybody's using whatever it takes to get outcomes, right? And that would increase in the next 5 to 10 years. Lastly, it will be around strategic business alignment, which we've talked about as well, and value delivery. So there will be a lot more focus on ESG, which is the environment, social and governance, and sustainability. What's the impact of that project on the environment, on society, and on governance? Today's world, you're just running projects, but in 5 to 10 years, every project you're running within your organization would need to be speaking to one of these themes, because that's where the world is going to. ESG, sustainability, how sustainable is this the impact. As a matter of fact, organizations here in the UK have started, I've seen them looking to employ what they call sustainability project managers.
Yeah.
So project manager on sustainability, not because you are doing environment, but you're actually managing IT projects, but they're looking at sustainability. So what's the impact of that, your technology project, on the environment? So that's where we're going to get to in the next 5 to 10 years.
Thank you so much, Akiwande. Yeah, before I hear from Kimia, a couple of the things that you had highlighted would be AI-driven. And so as project professionals, we need to be able to understand AI. We need to be able to adopt it. I mean, you mentioned, in using the AIs, there will be lots of prompt engineering. So those are areas where we need to be able to have the knowledge to put in the right input for us to even get out the outputs, right? Like when we are using AI, you spoke about automation, you spoke about agile and adaptive PMO focused, you spoke about value delivery, and of course, sustainability, which I think is one of the core focus of PMI, sustainability and AI this year. So thank you so much. Kimia, would you like to add on to that?
Sure, yeah. And again, I mean, I completely agree. Do not fall behind from the AI technological trends. You've got to be able to speak that language because, again, as somebody at the forefront of it, a change agent, transformation agent in your business, you might have to be educating and informing your stakeholders on that. 100% on the sustainability. So you've got to be able to be up to speed with that. I'll add just one additional type of project that seems to be growing exponentially here in the United States, where I'm based, are construction projects as well. So like I said, I don't have a construction background, but I'm going to make sure I'm comfortable with that vocabulary and any potential lessons learned or the types of projects that we need to be on. Again, we don't know what types of projects will be asked to be served on. So it's important to get up to speed, be aware of trends. Another piece I'll add to that, it's not just your organization, but again, paying attention to trends and timing. So technology, of course, sustainability, construction is becoming a huge need across the globe. We're seeing that internationally. And again, we can never, ever underestimate the importance of clear, concise, impactful communication skills. So the more ambiguity there is, the more change we have to support with. Again, the more critical that we speak in a way so people can listen and understand and take in what we're saying. So speaking so people can listen, impactful, concise communication at the level of the stakeholder that you're working with. That's huge. So I know it sounds like there's a lot of areas we need to develop in, but it's really kind of all what we've been doing. It's just about us becoming more intentional to demonstrate our excellence and comfort level, wearing a variety of hats. The image that just popped into my head is when I was a kid, I used to love the Inspector Gadget cartoon. Anybody ever saw Inspector Gadget? I mean, anybody kind of my age, my generation? Yeah, he had like whatever tool would come out from
out
whatever was needed. Yeah, from his hat, from his arms, whatever. We have got to be able to pivot. And it's really funny, like on the music side, one of the songs that I've been sharing for years now is called I'm Not a Chameleon, which is the importance of being authentic and not changing ourselves or our integrity or our core beliefs to the things around us. But in PMO, we do have to be chameleon-like sometimes and adapt to the stakeholders, the needs, and the projects that we're serving on. So Inspector Gadget and chameleons came to mind thinking about that.
Thank you so much. Again, I think just like Akiwande also said, then coming back to Kimia, that it is very important to understand that there are still a lot of areas like excellent communication, stakeholder involvement, stakeholder management that the AI can't do for us. But for the areas where AI can be adopted, we should also ensure that we are ready and we understand how to operate it. PMI has a couple of free, for their members, free training on AI, like Gen AI and prompt engineering, that for some of the PMI members here, you can also take advantage of that so that you can better understand how to adopt AI. Okay, we have one more question as we bring the webinar to a close. We have a question from Paul. But just before we take up that final question from Paul, I had said that we have a gift for you who has joined. I'm sure Joseph is going to take advantage of this very quickly. So for those that are here today, we would like, as an organization, to be able to give out, and I think my team is just putting that slide up. For those that want to take advantage of it, we want to have 2 free consultations for either individuals that or the organization can about, how do I even establish or, have a PMO for my organization. So we will be giving out just 2 free sessions. So it's going to be based on a first come, first serve. So please take advantage of it. Feel free to fill the form, and then we will definitely get back to you and see how we can help you and your organization on this journey. And then for some of the project managers that we have in the house that are looking at taking their PMP, we also have our learning unit has a training coming up sometime this month. So for those that want to take advantage, we have a 10% discount valid for 48 hours. So we have an African a class for our African committee and also those in the US. So we'll share all of this tomorrow, but we have a 48-hour discount that you can also, just for those that have attended this session, you can also take advantage of that. So thank you. So as we bring this session to a close, Paul had his hands up. So Paul, you can just put up your mic, and then you can go ahead to ask your question. And then we'll take our final summary as we bring the session to a close from our facilitators, and then we'll say goodbye. So Paul, are you there? You had a question? Okay, so maybe Paul has dropped off the call, but please, we will send a feedback form. So, oh, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Thank you so much, Esther. I want to first and foremost appreciate the speakers of today for finding the time to speak to us and giving us more insight on what the project management officers is all about and project management altogether. I actually don't have so much of questions to ask because it's just a simple thing. How often is this event holding, and like how often in a year do you have these events taking place? Because I know there are a lot of people who would love to be part of it as well, but I'm not sure they are aware of these events holding. And again, good thing you're saying about closing. I was going to ask, will you keep our speakers talking more and more without even going on a break? I wouldn't want to see the likes of our honorable speakers finding water to drink. All right, so please next time include break time, because some of us will have to go for school runs as well. Looking at the view of time differences. We have to go pick kids out from school and bring them back home, and so that is the other two things I would also like to add. Thank you so much, Esther, for being a good anchor today. Nice to
All
see
right.
you.
Thank you so much, Paul, for your feedback. We'll definitely consider that for our upcoming webinar. So this, we usually have this webinar monthly. So, let you know about our upcoming webinar soon. And like I said, if you have specific topics that you would like us to address, please feel free to let us know. And then we will definitely put that into consideration for our upcoming webinar. Regarding taking a break, we'll see how to also incorporate that. So as we bring the webinar to a close, Akiwande and Kimia, thank you so much for your time. In a minute, just let us know your closing remark. And my team will drop their LinkedIn profile on the comment section. Please connect with all of them. So Kimia, your closing remark, and also Akiwande, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Esther. I want to say thank you all for having me. I love these events. I love international communities as somebody who's had 6 international moves in my life. And I love participating because I also learn a lot. As Esther mentioned, please do connect with us on LinkedIn. I love to hear from you all. I do my best to respond to as many messages as possible. I just have kind of one closing thought as we've wrapped up a really fun discussion of we're going through a lot of change. Change is the only constant in life, is something that I have learned, and just want to encourage you all. Whatever comes, however the role changes, whatever positive or challenging stakeholder we might have, if our project is successful, if our project is struggling, whatever we're going through at home, at work, something that's really, really helped me is to maintain my sense of humor. you know, find some sense of joy in each situation, find something that gives me a little laughter break in the day as a way to raise the endorphins, as a way to not get too serious in what I'm doing. So maintain that humor, spend time with people that kind of bring that joy out in you. It helps with our resilience. I actually listen to a lot of kind of stand-up comedy at the end of my day just to decompress. So don't lose the joy and passion for what you're doing in the midst of all the changes that we're going through.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kimia. We're going to take a group picture. So for everyone that is joining us that can put on their camera after we have had the closing remark from Akiwande, please put on your camera for those that can, and then we take a group picture just before we bring the session to a close. For those asking how to claim their PDUs, we will send you a code just at the end of the webinar, and then we'll send an email tomorrow, and then you can use the code to claim your PDU. Akiwande, go ahead.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks very much, Esther. Thank you to everyone who's joined in. Been an interesting conversation. I mean, I'll just say one thing. It's all about relationships. Project management is about relationships. I tell people that probably 60 to 70% of the people I know today professionally, it's from managing one project somewhere, but in one part of the world somewhere. So don't get hung up. Similar to what Kimia said, don't get hung up on the project. Whilst you're managing those projects, spend time building the relationships, because every relationship counts. I mean, some of the people that I call very good friends today, it's from working together on one project some 10, 15, 20 years ago. And we've now gone beyond just, colleagues managing projects to friends. And really that's it. So take advantage of the opportunities you find yourself. Every project is an opportunity to meet somebody, to build a new relationship.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Akiwande. And again, I want to appreciate you for your time, for joining us. So for all those that can put on their camera, let's take a group picture at the close. Please put on your camera. For those that so that my team can be able to capture and take your picture. Thank you so much, Joseph. I can see your camera on. And also, please follow us at iCentra on all social media platforms to be able to get more updates and insights. So, Pelumi and the team, I hope you're ready for that. I mean, we're three, but it's
Please
fine.
give
We can
us
take the
a
picture.
second. Ready? Okay, we're ready right about now. Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. Please, could we all turn on our cameras and joining?
Thank you. So for all those that have turned on their camera,
a countdown will help. A countdown will help for the picture taking. So, because yeah, we don't know when, at what point.
Yes, please,
Okay,
let's
great.
count
Esther,
down
please just...
So just
and
count
go
down from
ahead.
5, 4, yes, and yeah, I think that would help.
All right. So we'll take the picture in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So smile for the camera. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So we'll look forward to seeing you in our next webinar, and we're going to communicate on that. Akiwande Kimia, we are so grateful for your time, for your insights, and we look forward to continuously delivering value together, building relationship together, and preaching the journey and the story of project management, one individual and one organization at a time. So thank you so much. Till next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
iCentra has been our consultant because they are the one that help us to get certified on ISO 27001.
I would rate the quality of service delivery of iCentra as excellent.
They are good with their timing and organization.
I feel the method of teaching was good and the program in general was very well organized.
I've been in a number of their trainings and it has been consistently good.
So I highly recommend
iCentra
because iCentra is an embodiment of knowledge.
Engineer Moro Fuja, an assistant director in project coordinating unit of the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Development. iCentra is very excellent because they have excellent teams with flexible arrangement. The first day I stepped into this place, fine. I was excited with the environment. The environment was very good. The flexible pattern of payment and the trade in terms of being making it all online. And the weekend, it makes it very flexible for people, especially the working class people. In light to the example, they still engage me in some review of some of those areas where I should focus my attention on and how best to answer these questions and stuff. Without knowing the question that come out actually, it told me more to focus on concept. Once you get the concept right, no matter how the question is twisted, you get it and you give it a knock and you get the right answer to that. So I applied that throughout the exam period, and I was surprised I finished before the time, and I was even thinking that the concept, yes, right, but the answer, how do I know? So when I got the result, I wasn't too surprised because I applied the concept throughout, and I came above target in my result. So more or less like 85% to 100. I recommend training for people, the PMP and others, to come to iCentra. iCentra is a place to be, very friendly environment, good to see, and you can see the value for your money.
My name is Mone Mike Bay. I'm a project manager and a humanitarian. I went through the PMP, Project Management Professional Training with iCentra. I found the training to be quite interesting and enlightening, obviously because the facilitators had a lot of experience that they brought along with them. They were able to share a lot of real life scenarios, which made the learning process quite practical. The facility where we had the training was quite conducive. The training materials were provided were quite robust. There was a lot of focus on traditional project management, but in particular, they highlighted that the new PMP is tilting towards the agile ways of work, which helped me in my focus while preparing for the exam. In addition, there was a lot of follow-ups, post-training support, which also guided the process of my studying and ultimately helped me to secure my certificate. iCentra has a track record. I believe it's within the range of 100%. And I will highly recommend it to anyone who is interested in pursuing the PMP certification.
My name is Lillian Ilenikena. I'm currently holding the role of an event project manager. Though I considered many options when I was scouting for a training or an educational institute to take my project management training, I would say the study plans, firstly, and also the fact that they offered post-training support to members of the class. They also assisted most of the participants or most of the delegates with their eligibility tests to determine if you were fit to take the PMP exam. The flexibility of the iCentra Academy enabled me to fit in my own busy schedule with the work, the study plans and the lectures, and this enabled me to gain requisite knowledge that enabled me pass my PMP exams above target at the first trial, and subsequently gave me adequate knowledge to deliver projects effectively.
Join us for a transformative journey of learning, growth, and innovation. Explore cutting-edge business trends, gain insights from industry leaders, and network with global professionals. Get ready to transform with iCentra. Stay tuned for updates, exciting topics, and renowned guest speakers. Keep an eye on all our social media pages for more details. Your transformation journey continues.